and welcome to FPL Mate, your best mate for fantasy Premier League content for the 2023-24 season. My name is Dan, and it's almost time for Game Week 13 to kick off, which means we need to summarise everything that has happened in the last 24 hours. We've got all of the news from press conferences, including crucial injury information about Bowen, Mitoma, and many other players, and what we might want to do with those players, as well as talking about captaincy and so much more, all in this video, guys. So make sure you do drop a like if you do find this helpful, and do subscribe if you're new around here and you want to see this every single week. Let's get started. Alright guys, so as you know, there's a lot to go through today. Let's start off with Arsenal, alphabetical order, of course. Ødegaard is progressing very well, apparently, so maybe we could see him return to the Arsenal team. But as always, Arteta never really gives straight answers. Again, we've got White. He's been missing from training this week, but he could return. Hopefully, he's going to be able to train today, and hopefully he'll pass the test to be able to play. But we don't know. Arteta is very, very annoying when it comes to FPL. But he did at least say that Raya is ineligible to play against Brentford, but I feel like we already knew this one. So Ramsdale is going to be starting against Brentford, not Raya, because of that kind of the cup tiedness, I guess. Is it a cup tie? Not really sure. But he can't play against his parent club. Aston Villa, McGinn, he's back in training. He's going to be available. Bailey, Martinez, and Zaniolo, they're likely to be available as well. So I think positive news on that one. And there's no concern over Cash whatsoever. Really is quite bizarre why he is flagged in FPL, because there is no injury concern there. Cash is going to be absolutely fine. For Bournemouth, Aarons is going to be out with a hamstring injury. We've got Billings and Marcondes. They've returned to training. And Adams, Fredericks, and Scott, they are out longer term. For Brentford, Collins picked up an injury, so he's going to be out for several weeks. Damsgaard and De Silva are getting closer, but I think they're still going to be out, probably. Baptiste and Lewis Potter, however, they are available. For Brighton, bad news for Mitoma owners. He has been ruled out of Game Week 13. Yes, despite the fact he was training with the group, he's still not quite ready to start. So he is going to be out for this game week. So probably a player we want to think about selling. Of course, we'll talk about some replacements very, very shortly. Dunk, however, is fit and available, but Estupinian will be out for a long time. So we could see the return of Lamptey there in that left back position, because, of course, Milner is also out, which adds more problems to Brighton's problems, I guess. So yeah, Brighton not in a great spot right now, but at least they have Dunk back. For Burnley, Cork is out. Foster is still out for now, and they are unsure about Benson and Ekdal. Kind of not sure if they're going to be available or not. For Chelsea, bad news. Nkunku is in his reconditioning phase of rehabilitation, whatever that means. Yeah, it does seem like Nkunku and Lavia are not quite ready to return to the Chelsea starting lineup quite yet, but they are in good amounts of training at this point. So we're probably going to see both players slowly introduced into the Chelsea squad over the next few weeks, but they're not quite ready to start, unfortunately. Colwill, however, good news, he is fit and available. For Crystal Palace, Ayew and Lerma returned late from international duty, so that maybe calls into question their availability. Henderson, Tompkins, and Rak-Sakyi are all out still. For Everton, Coleman, Godfrey and Keane have been regaining match fitness for the under-21s team, so we could see them return soon. Onana, this is the Everton midfielder Onana, by the way, guys, he is out due to a calf injury, and Gomez and Dele are still out as well. For Fulham, Diop, Francois and Muniz, they are all out. Traore, unfortunately, did suffer a setback, but he is going to return very, very soon. And Palhinha is suspended for Game Week 13 after picking up 5 yellow cards. For Liverpool, Robertson, Bajcetic and Thiago, they are still out. However, Gomez, Gravenberch, Jones and Konate are all back in training. So good news for them. They should be available to start. Maybe that has an impact on Tsimikas a little bit there, not sure, but probably wouldn't want to play those Liverpool defenders against Man City anyway. Darwin and Diaz have travelled from South America, and I did want to note this as always, because sometimes we do see Klopp likes to rotate his South American players directly after the international break. But they did return a few days ago, so I'm not ruling these players out. They are available for selection, if you like, but just wanted to note that they obviously have travelled back quite far from South America. We don't know for sure if they're going to start, but they're available at least. For Luton, Kabore is going to miss Game Week 13 following a international break head injury, which resulted in a seizure, unfortunately for him. Hopefully he can get back to his full self very, very soon. But yeah, he is going to miss Game Week 13, unfortunately. Ogbene is going to have a late assessment, but Bell and Doughty are both available for this game week for Luton. So a few returnees in the defensive positions for Luton, which is going to be very, very helpful for them. For Man City, Haaland is in full training, but he has niggles, apparently. I don't really know what to make of that, to be honest. I don't know. Haaland is a player who is going to be really, really important for this game against Liverpool, and you can't really see a world in which he doesn't start. Even if he does have a minor problem, he would probably still start against Liverpool, you would imagine. So I'm going to say, cautiously, that he is available, but just wanted to point out that Pep Guardiola did mention a small concern. Whether that's mind games, I'm not sure. Edison, Ake and Nunez have also had problems over the international break, so unsure about their availability. Of course, Pep Guardiola giving nothing away ahead of a big game against Liverpool. Kovacic, however, could be out for a few weeks with his injury. For Manchester United, Luke Shaw, he is back and he's expected to start against Everton as well. Onana, he's good to go as well, fit to start against Everton. Haaland, however, will have a late fitness test. For Newcastle, Trippier has trained all week as normal. Howe was a little coy on Isak, however. So, yeah, I'm not really sure what's going on with Isak. He didn't really give a straight answer about whether Isak's going to be available or not. So, yeah, a little bit of an interesting one. And for Botman, I don't even know. I don't think Newcastle even know what is going on with Botman right now. He's not available yet still, but it seems to be a mystery if he's going to be returning to training soon, if he's going to be, you know, re-aggravating his injury, whether he's actually going to require surgery after all. Who knows? Botman is a mystery. If you still have him, get rid, don't look back, deal with that issue later if he miraculously recovers, because it really is a strange one that we can never seem to get any answers to. And for Nottingham Forest, our knee, he's going to be out for several months with a groin injury, unfortunately for him. That is going to lead the way for Chris Wood to maybe become a little bit of a differential there, playing as the central striker for Forest. Hudson-Odoi is going to be out for Game Week 13 as well, and Elanga, Murillo and Danilo are doubtful. So, yeah. Let's move on to the page I'm sure you guys have all been waiting for. Let's do it. So, for Sheffield United, Ahmed Dodzic and McBurney. I really struggle with that name. Ahmed Dodzic and McBurney. They're both ready to start. Maybe that impacts a little bit on Archer's minutes potential with McBurney returning. Not sure. Maybe Archer starts ahead of McBurney. Maybe McBurney on the bench. But yeah, just be aware of that one if you are planning on starting Archer. But there are no other returnees for Sheffield United. For Spurs, Udogie is available and ready to start. So good news for those of you who kept Udogie for all this time. Although not sure I'd expect a clean sheet against Aston Villa with the other issues that Spurs have. With Romero still suspended. Van de Ven is still going to be out as well. We've also got Basuma. He is suspended for Game Week 13. He's been a key player in the defensive midfield position for Spurs. And even Sarr is going to have a late assessment as well. So Spurs missing a few players this week, it has to be said. For West Ham, Moyes hopes that Bowen will be available. This is the news that we've got. So it does, in a way, sound more positive than maybe what we were thinking yesterday or the day before. It is going to be touch and go. There's going to be a late decision made on Bowen. He hasn't trained, well, at least he hasn't trained as far as we are aware before today. But lots of players play without training. Son and Saka do it all the time. So I wouldn't worry too much about that. Bowen seems to play whenever he's available. He's only missed a few games in his entire career through injury. So he is a player who does typically play. It's really a mystery. I don't know what's going to happen here, to be honest. But I think there is reason to believe that Bowen at least has a decent chance of playing against Burnley. And if he does play, then I think it's, you know, he starts or he doesn't play at all. I don't see a situation where Bowen comes off the bench for a one-pointer. I just cannot see that happening at all. So I think if you still own Bowen at this point, I would probably be looking to keep him and hope that he plays against Burnley, because you know if he does, then you're going to get a very nice result from that. Bowen expected to score a decent amount of points against Burnley, and if he doesn't, there's every chance he's not going to start anyway. He's not going to come off the bench anyway, so you're just going to be able to use your bench there. So particularly if you have a strong bench, Bowen is fine to keep this week. And yeah, I don't think he's going to be out for more than Game Week 13, even if he is out. So lots of positive reasons to keep Bowen now, in my opinion. It's not as serious as we once thought. It's not going to be a case of several weeks or months. He is going to be back this game week or next game week. It's one or the other, really. Antonio, his injury is actually not as bad as initially thought. He's only going to be out for a couple of weeks, which is interesting. There's no concern over Kudus as well. I know some people were worried about Kudus, his fitness. Yeah, no need to be worried about that one. And after the West Ham news, we'll finish off with some Wolves news. Neto remains out. There's no return date there. Dawson is suspended for game week 13. However, Bueno, Doherty, and Lamina are back. So there we have it. There's your injury news. What are we going to do with all this information? There's still lots to talk about, guys. So please join me as we do exactly that. Okay, so first of all, best defenders. Now, you guys have been asking me all week, Dan, pick some defenders out. We want new defenders. Who are you looking at? Who should we be going for? And my answer has been pretty much all week, yeah, there's not really much. There really is not really much out there in terms of defenders. You know, gone are the days of Cancelos and Trents and Robertsons getting these insane attacking returns. It's a time of the past, and even clean sheets are down on previous years as well, not even getting clean sheet points. So there's not really much out there, but this is what I came up with some serious digging. So, of course, I'm putting Saliba and Gabriel, the Arsenal defenders, right at the top. These are probably your best picks for new defenders to bring into your team. Saliba nailed best defense in the league. Arsenal putting up some great defensive numbers, most clean sheets of any team in the league as well. So lots of reasons to go for Arsenal defenders. Of course, with Saliba, you are paying for peace of mind. That's why he is the extra money, the big buzz. With Gabriel, he's probably nailed, but you never really know with Gabriel, do you? We've seen a few surprise kind of rests and rotations this season, haven't we? But I would still say, and a lot of Arsenal fans would agree, that Gabriel is pretty much going to play every single game, and he's no more rotation risk than Saliba, really. But hey, I'll let you guys make your mind up on that one. For Ait-Nouri, he is another good player to go for, I guess. 4.5 million. He's got good underlying numbers in both attack and defense. Wolves improving as a defense, and it looks like he could get some attacking returns soon. So I think that's good news. Castagna improving defense with good fixtures long term. So another player I quite like, and we have seen that Fulham are more than capable of getting clean sheets, particularly against the weaker teams. You know, with Leno in goal, there's always a chance of getting some clean sheets. We've got Reece James here, obviously an exciting player with potential attacking returns, but rotation is inevitable. Injuries are always a possibility, so there's obviously some worry about having a player like Reece James, but 5.3 million, he's cheaper than he's been in a very long time. Maybe it's worth taking the risk there. That is up to you. And of course, Mikalenko's got some great attacking form recently, but poor fixtures, and I'm not really sure where the clean sheets are going to come from. We may see 1 or 2 clean sheets over the next 6 game weeks, but we're not going to see a whole load from Everton, I don't think. So if you're looking at these players and thinking, why have you picked these players out? These look terrible. Yes, I know. This is what I'm saying. There really is nothing out there in terms of defenders right now. There's nothing. This is the best I could come up with. I'm sorry I couldn't come up with anything better. But there isn't really anything better. So, yeah, if you want new defenders, maybe someone on this list is going to be helpful to you. Okay, so I did mention that I would probably try to keep Bowen if possible. But if you have to replace Bowen, you really, really want to replace Bowen, you're not happy about the risk of this game week, etc., etc., or you have Kaldu Mitoma, who is going to be unavailable, or you just want to buy a new midfielder, I guess. Here are some possible replacements for you. So, first of all, Mbeumo, and he is playing Arsenal this week, and I don't think Mbeumo's chances of getting FPL returns this game week are very high, to be honest. However, he is a player you are going to want to have anyway. He's a player you're going to want to have long term, and particularly if you're a Mitoma owner, you're probably planning on making this exact transfer anyway, so you may as well make it now. You know, try and get ahead of some price changes, and, you know, maybe you get a return from Mbeumo. You've probably got a better chance of that than, you know, whoever's on your bench right now, right? However, if you have Bowen, I'm not sure I like this transfer as much. So I don't think I'd transfer Bowen out for Mbeumo, because even if Bowen doesn't start this game week, yeah, I'm not totally convinced by this one, to be honest, because Bowen's going to be back next week. All you're going to do is shift the problem back another game week. You're still going to have to move someone else to Mbeumo next week, that's like more than likely you already probably have a player you want to move to Mbeumo, and it's probably not going to be Bowen. So yeah, maybe leave that one, Bowen to Mbeumo. I don't know. I just don't think there's enough benefit this game week to do that. So, but still, at the same time, Mbeumo, a player you want to own long term. I hope that makes sense, guys. Palmer, Obviously, he's insane value for money, great form, and he's got good fixtures coming up soon, so he's going to be a nice long-term hold. Like Mbumo, 2 players that you are going to want to own for the long term anyway, so you can go in on them 1 week early. Saka, not really sure he fits the bill, which is why I've only put him at 3rd. He is a little expensive, but generally he is a reliable and consistent pick. For value for money, I do prefer Mbumo and Palmer, but Saka is obviously a good player to own in FPL. 4th here, I've put Eze, who I do actually really quite like for the next 3 fixtures. He's on all set pieces, including penalties, and he's got some decent underlying numbers as well, so we can probably expect Eze, Luton Town up next, to maybe get some attacking returns. You know, we've got West Ham the following week as well. Who knows? I think Eze could be a nice little pick for you guys. After that, we do go into the territory of players who are, I guess, a little risky. We've got Kudus. He is an interesting punt. He could do well, particularly against Burnley, but I don't think there's any guarantee there. I don't think we've quite seen enough of Kudus to know he's going to do well, but he's certainly shown some potential. And Diaby, I like him for the next 2 fixtures, but after that, probably not. So Diaby, super short-term punt. Spurs and then Bournemouth, 2 nice fixtures. After that, probably going to be a player you want to remove. Outside of these players, and I know you guys will be shouting like Doku or Ward-Prowse or, I don't know, Soucek or Sterling. Yeah, not really interested in any of those players personally. So I would be picking players from this list. I probably would not be looking to go any further than even 5th on this list, to be perfectly honest with you guys. May just be worth keeping a Bowen if you are looking to go for like Sterling instead. I don't know, not feeling it. So yeah, these are your midfield replacements. Okay, so I've updated my Game Week 13 wildcard draft. I wasn't happy with it, to be honest, the video that I made like a couple of weeks ago for Game Week 13 wildcard, so I've made a new wildcard team for you guys. I've gone for Sanchez in goal still. We have changed the defence. We've now got Castagna, Gabriel and Saliba, so I've doubled up on the Arsenal defence, and we've added in Castagna here. You could maybe put Ait-Nouri instead of Castagna as well, one or the other. In midfield, we've got Son, Salah, Eze and Mbumo. Of course, we like Son, Salah and Eze in general. And Mbumo, you know, for the long term, he's going to be a great pick. And up front, we've actually got 3 players. So I've gone for Wood, Haaland and Watkins. Of course, Wood is going to be playing for Nottingham Forest as their central striker in their nice fixtures during a period where basically Awani is going to be out. So it's going to be nice. And I think Wood has a good fixture in Game Week 18, which is going to be really helpful when Man City and Brentford blank. So that's going to be very useful to you guys. Haaland is obviously going to be in this team. And I've got Watkins in here as well. I think this game week in particular, there's going to be goals in that Spurs versus Aston Villa game. So I'd want players from both teams, I think. And yeah, obviously longer term, both Son and Watkins have been super reliable FPL assets. On the bench, we've gone pretty cheap with Strakosha, Lascelles and Branthwaite, but we put Palmer on there that you probably rotate with Wood depending on the fixture. So this wildcard team only costs 99.6 million, so it's a super cheap version. You guys are probably going to be able to improve it with whatever budget you have. I've made a little free hit draft as well, because for some reason a lot of you guys have been asking for a free hit team. So just very quickly, for those of you guys who are wondering, you know, what kind of players I would pick if I wanted to get the perfect team for Game Week 13 only, this is kind of what I'd be going for. So double up on the Crystal Palace defence with Johnston and Anderson, and go for Porro for potential attacking returns versus Aston Villa. I like Castagna at home against Wolves. In midfield, we've got Salah, of course, Son, of course, and we've gone for Eze and Kudus, actually, instead of Mbumo. We've added in Kudus there. For the forwards, we've gone for Haaland, Watkins, and Solanke, who's got a very nice fixture against Sheffield United this week. And then we've just gone super cheap on the bench. So there you go. There is a free hit team for you guys. Couple of differential shouts for you this week. So we've gone defence, midfielders and forwards in the cheap, medium and expensive category. So for defence, Lascelles, probably the best cheap defender to go for right now, whilst we don't know what's going on with Botman. Ait-Nouri and Castagna, either of those could go in this kind of cheap-ish defender. And Porro, I've gone for the expensive defender. I know he's not super expensive. Maybe you could throw in Reece James in there, but I'm not quite sure I'm ready for a Reece James quite yet, but he's a player you might want to consider bringing in soon. For midfield, I've gone for Palmer. Yeah, he's just incredibly cheap and still differential somehow. Eze is obviously a good shout right now. We've spoken about him. And Foden, I just threw in as the expensive player. A lot of people seem to have faith in him, so why not, I guess? Yeah, it's kind of difficult to pick a more expensive midfield differential, to be honest. So I've just gone for Foden there, but based on what other people are saying, really. We quite fancy him. I'm not convinced personally. For forwards, we've got Wood, of course. Spoken about him at 4.9 million. I like this fixture this week. I like a couple of the fixtures that he has, and Game Week 18, I think he's going to be a really nice cover for Haaland. Could Wood be the new Haaland? maybe not. We've got Solanke against Sheffield United this week, and with some decent fixtures upcoming as well. 6.5 million, very, very decent value for money there for Solanke on penalties as well. You can definitely understand why people are bringing him in en masse. And we've got Isak here as well. Still not 100% sure about his fitness, but I just know that he's a player I want to own very, very soon. So I think he's a really, really nice differential that fewer and fewer people have these days. You know, when he is fit, if he is fit, he's going to be a great option to play for Newcastle. You know, whenever he plays, he does so well, no matter who the opponent is. So a player who, when starting, you know, particularly whilst Wilson is out, it's just going to be a fantastic FPL pick, and I cannot wait to get my hands on him. It's going to happen soon, I'm sure. Quick goalkeeper start order, tier list, bench list, or whatever you want to call it. So yeah, I would be looking to start the Johnstons, the Areolas of the world. You know, these goalkeepers who play against the easier teams, I guess, the teams that don't score so many goals. I do like the likes of Pickford, Onana, Leno and Safa this week as well. Raya obviously doesn't have a fixture this week. I guess if you have Ramsdale, you could play him, but most of you guys probably don't have Ramsdale right now. But yeah, in general, a lot of teams have difficult fixtures this week, and I wouldn't expect too many clean sheets. It's going to be a lot up to chance and luck, really, where we're going to be seeing clean sheets this week and this season in general, to be honest. So yeah, do whatever you want, really, but I do prefer some of the players towards the top more than the ones at the bottom. And finally, let's talk about Game Week 13 captains, and I've got your best options as Haaland and Son. These are my two favourite, you know, captains for Game Week 13. And I know some of you guys are going to be like, why have you not put Salah in the best options? Salah is great, don't get me wrong, but he is against Man City, and I think the key difference here is I'm looking for a player who can get you a 15-pointer, a 20-pointer. You know, these players with the huge haul potential. And Salah against the toughest game he'll play all season, Man City away. I do think Salah will be able to return, but is he going to be able to get a haul in the same way as Haaland, who can do it in any game? He's done it in the big games before and will do it again. Son, who is capable of these huge hauls, going to be playing against an Aston Villa high line. You know, we've seen Aston Villa's defensive fragilities in the past as well. These players are all big players in their own right, but for me, the players who have the biggest, you know, big score potential this game week, and it's a difficult game week because all of the big teams are playing each other, Haaland and Son are the players that really stand out to me more than anyone else. Haaland is your safe option. Most people are going to captain him. Son, if you are feeling risky, you can go for Son, but I actually don't think there is going to be too much difference in terms of which player is the better pick. I think they're both great, really. And, some people will say Haaland is much better than Son. I actually disagree. I think Son's a really good pick. So particularly the no Haaland gang, if you have Son in your team, I would be pretty comfortable captaining him this week, actually. Wouldn't worry about that too much. Now, of course, Salah is in the if you're brave category. I just don't think he's quite as good as Haaland and Son this week, but I'm sure that'll change next week. But I've also put Ollie Watkins in here. He plays against Spurs, who are missing a lot of defensive players. So there's going to be an opportunity for a high-scoring game with Aston Villa, a high-scoring team as well, with Ollie Watkins at the helm of that one. So, yeah, don't see why he can't score a couple of points, although I've been burnt by him a few times recently, so maybe not. And we've got Jarrod Bowen. If you think that Jarrod Bowen either starts or, you know, doesn't play at all, then why not throw the captain's armband on Bowen and just make sure you've got a nice, safe vice-captain there. It's an option. It is, I guess, a little bit risky, but I think it is an option. And if you guys are wondering about why these players are here and maybe surprised by some of these players, I don't think you should be, because these 5 players are the 5 highest scoring players in FPL right now. So it should be no surprise whatsoever to see these are probably, for me, the best 5 captain options. Now, a lot of you guys are going to be making strange shouts like Solanke, Eze, you know, Darwin Nunez, I don't know, whoever else. If you want to go there, fine, but I don't think I can recommend it, to be honest. You know, even if you think Solanke is going to do really well against Sheffield United, for example, I'm sure he'll be able to score a goal in that game. But so can Haaland. You're not looking at, you know, just picking a player who can score well. They've got to match and do better. You know, they've got to do better than Haaland. You know, Haaland on a bad day is going to score just as many, if not more points than Solanke in his perfect dream fixture, you know, because Haaland is like an elite player. You know, consistently best goal scorer in the world for the past year or so. So it doesn't really make too much sense for me to go for a player just because they have a great fixture. They have to be a good player as well. And we do need to, look at the form as well as the fixture, particularly with captaincy. So, yeah, Haaland, Son, Salah, obvious captain choices because they are the highest scoring players in FPL. They will do it against any team. They do it against any team all the time. It doesn't matter about their fixture so much. So, yeah, not really sure. I know there's temptation to play the fixtures this week because there's so many big players with tough fixtures. I'm not sure I would like to go there personally. So, for me, Haaland, Son, best captains. If you don't want to captain them for whatever reason, Salah, Watkins, Bowen would maybe be where I would be looking to go, but not totally convinced. Anywhere outside that, I'm sorry, I just don't see how they can outscore the likes of Haaland and Son. I just really don't see how that could happen. At least with Salah, Watkins and Bowen, they have a chance, So, yeah, that's all I'm going to say on that one. Thank you so much for watching once again. If you did enjoy this one, make sure you do drop a like if you do appreciate these roundups at the end of each week before the deadline. Do subscribe if you want to see this every single week. Make sure you've got notifications on. We are going to be making our final decisions with any final news as well as my own transfers and captaincy decisions in tomorrow's deadline stream. So really looking forward to a deadline stream tomorrow. Make sure you join me on that one. Loads more FPL content on the FPL Mate channel for Game Week 13. If you have more time on your hands and you want to, watch more FPL content, you can check loads more out on the channel. But aside from that, check out Fantasy Football Hub for a free trial in the link in the description. FanPrince UK as well. Aside from that, see you later, mates. The tomorrow's stream. Bye-bye.